is good, people? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2022 My Team Series here on the channel. Today is the Monza Grand Prix. We are coming towards the end of Season 2 already. I feel like this has flew by. There's only 16 races in our Season 2. If you do remember, we ran a shorter season when we picked the calendar at the start of Season 2. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the like button if you haven't already, which you probably haven't because it's like 10 seconds into the video. But getting into this one today, make sure you get yourself up to date with the series so far. I actually I pre-record these races, so I do like 3 at a time, and I actually edited them in the wrong order, so I edited this one first, so I can't even remember what happened in the last 2 races. But make sure you go and check them out, because we are currently sat 39 points ahead of Carlos Sainz in the driver's standings, and we are also 11 points ahead of Ferrari in the constructor standings, so we are in very good stead to go ahead and win both championships in Season 2, which would be absolutely fantastic to see. Hopefully we can do that. Like I said, there's only 4 races left, I believe, after this one. So make sure you stay tuned till the end of the season, because we are coming up to it. With FIFA coming out on this Tuesday, we skipped Q1, by the way. We finished P11 in Q1, and Ayrton Senna, our teammate, in P9 there. Hopefully we can improve in the next 2 sessions with that, if we do even make it to a third session, Q3. But yeah, like I'm saying, FIFA came out on Tuesday of this week that you're watching this video, so we are definitely going to be grinding out the FIFA career mode videos, probably a lot more than the F1. I'm not too sure as of yet how that it will affect the F1 schedule, but we will for sure finish off Season 2, so just best way to stay up to date is by hitting the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you get notified when we do upload. Like I say, we will be finishing off this season. We might do 2 videos a week instead of the usual 3, so with there being 4 races left, so the season finale will come in 2 weeks time, and we can see if we win the championship. But yeah, with that being said, that's all out the way. Let's get into the qualifying session here in Monza. Not showing our pace in Q1. We're running a setup, by the way, of 0-0 on the wings, 0 front downforce and 0 rear downforce on the aero settings, which is absolutely crazy to see. So yeah, like the back end especially, it was a very good setup for the straight line speed, but the back end was so just jumpy through, especially through the Ascari chicane here. The back end was really just desperate to kick out on us. We go purple through sector 2 there, showing that we do have some pace in the car. Don't know what happened with Q1. Maybe just didn't hook the lap up properly, but even our teammate Senna was down in P9 through Q1. Let's hope that Senna can improve and we can improve in this Q2 session. We lose a bit of time through the final corner. Crossing the line there in Q2 though. Where do we finish? It's going to be P4, so that's a decent enough lap. Get us through to Q3. Hopefully in Q3 have similar sort of pace getting near the front row. There's Ayrton Senna down in P8, so an improvement from that P9, but still not great. Carlos Sainz, our closest championship rival, out in P11. So a mixed weekend for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc looking like the fastest man on the grid, on for provisional pole probably in this Q3 session, but the other Ferrari out in P11 in Q2, not what the Scuderia would like to see, or the Tifosi that they call them, the fans would like to see, with obviously Italy, Monza being Ferrari's home Grand Prix. Both getting into this Q3 session. Currently our teammate Senna is occupying the front row. He's in provisional P2. 39 seconds left in this session. We're braking at the 100 meter board for turn 1, short shifting to 3rd gear, even 4th gear on the exit of turn 2. We don't get the best exit out of turn 2, probably should have kept it on 3rd instead of short shifting to 4th, but very similar time to our previous lap. Heading down towards the next chicane now, braking around just after the 100 meter board there again, out braking ourselves a little bit, short shifting to 3rd in the exit, using all of the curb that we can to try and get the best traction down into Lesmo 1, which we hit nicely straight on the throttle again as we run into Lesmo 2, using that curb or the dip on the inside for more rotation of the car, and then getting on the throttle as early as possible again for a long run down towards the Ascari chicane, up into 8th gear with that DRS wing open. Esteban Ocon takes provisional pole as we brake at 75, around 70 for the Ascari chicane, and then we are completely flat out through there. We managed to nail it. Purple through sector 2, even though our sector 1 wasn't the best. We're currently at provisional P8. We're on for a good lap here though, gaining time all the way down the straight into the Parabolica, which they have changed the name of now. I forgot what they changed it to. But yeah, we lose time through the Parabolica yet again. Just poor throttle control, I think, on exit maybe. We lost about a tenth coming through there. But we crossed the line. It's an early finish line in Monza. We crossed the line. It's only good enough for P6. So we're going to start this race from P6. Let's see if we can improve that in the race, or if there's any grid penalties that will push us up a bit further. Hopefully there is. Charles Leclerc on pole position in Ferrari's home Grand Prix. The Tifosi will love that. Our teammate Senna up in P4. Great results for Senna, putting the Sasuke racing car on the second row there. You love to see it. Let's get to the race though.
Welcome back to one of only 2 countries that has held a race every year since the very first Formula One World Championship in 1950. It is, of course, Italy, one of the great racing nations, and it's time to get underway for the Italian Grand Prix. With top speeds up to 215 and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Esteban Ocon lines up on pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Senna, the owner driver, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Verstappen, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Leclerc. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Pierre Gasly, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Alex Albon, and Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Schwartzman, Carlos Sainz. They've taken a grid penalty, and Daniel Ticktum, Stroll, Latifi, Joe, and Lando Norris starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into Turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Let's get into this race then. Like I did mention, grid penalties. I was expecting it. With it being towards the end of the season, the AI always take penalties in the last few races, and there's, 5 races left if you include this one. So we're actually starting alongside our teammate on the second row. It's a Sasuke Racing second row lockout. With me and Senna, we only get a good parking position there, not optimal. So hopefully we have a good release off the line as Senna hits his marks there, as you can see on the left. Esteban Ocon in P1 for this race, and George Russell just in front. This should be an interesting dynamic between this front 4. I mean, even Lewis Hamilton behind us in the other Mercedes, as we wait for the grid to park up and then wait for the red lights to go out here in Monza. It is lights out and away we go. Bit of wheel spin off the line there. I think that was from our teammate Senna, and it looks like Hamilton is right on Senna's gearbox off the start. Hamilton looking to pull out there, but Senna crossing across us. Us and Senna have swapped sides down into Turn 1, too wide. Are we going to see collision? No, we are not. It was very close contact between me, or very close to being contact between us and Senna, almost like Verstappen and Hamilton did in Monza, going too wide through that Turn 1. We're still too wide with Senna as we head towards the next corner now. Flying around the outside, looking to get that braking up the inside into the next chicane. We do. We managed to slow the car down nicely, taking a bit of curb on the exit there, which is going to unsettle the car as we head towards the Lesmo corners. But the virtual safety car is out. We do not have to worry about Senna overtaking us. This virtual safety car out on lap 1 here in Monza. Crazy start to the race, and I'm trying to find out what happened. As you can see, I'm rewinding the replay, and there's Sebastian Vettel's Aston Martin with no front wing. So Sebastian must have made contact with somebody, lost his front wing. His front wing has ended up on the track somewhere, and we can see there that Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel just missing a front wing, and that is what has caused the virtual safety car to come out, so the marshals can obviously run on the track and move that front wing. But we are back to racing speed now at the start of pretty much the same place, but the next lap across. As we head into the Lesmos, Senna was looking for a move inside into Lesmo 1. That would have been a very ambitious overtake if he managed to make that stick. but we are currently ahead of our teammate in P2. George Russell has taken the lead away from Esteban Ocon, and Russell with the fastest lap of the race so far. He's looking to push a lead to Ocon. Ocon already 1.5 seconds ahead of us. I hate virtual safety cars. I can never get the restart right on them compared to, you know, normal safety cars. I can never judge when it goes green and when it's like to stick behind the safety car delta. I just hate virtual safety cars. But yeah, so I'm currently sat in P3 with our teammate behind us. Pierre Gasly is the man in P5. I don't know how he's ended up there. It was Lewis Hamilton behind us on the grid, and behind him on the grid was Max Verstappen. So maybe Hamilton, Verstappen had crashed through turn 1. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them in Monza, but we set the fastest lap of the race only to get that taken away from us by Charles Leclerc. Surprising, because we did just set a purple sector 2 and 3, but that's showing that we do have pace in this car, and we've closed a 5/10 gap to Ocon to now be 1 second from 1.5, or it's about 1.1 now as we head through turn 2. But that is a very good sign for our pace going forward in this race, as DRS should be enabled this lap. I do believe purple through sector 1. Are we going to be close enough to Esteban Ocon by that time we get to the first DRS zone, which is just after Lesmo 2? So hopefully we can stick within that gap by the time we get round the corner. It's just this next corner now. He's actually pulled out that 1 second gap by the time we get to the detection point, which is unfortunate. So we don't have DRS down this straight here, but he will have it on George Russell to try and pull that gap. But we've also pulled the gap to our teammate Senna, who was faster than us in qualifying, but in the race here, maybe he's running just a different setup or more fuel or something, but Senna just not showing that he has the pace that we do, as we absolutely nail the Ascari chicane there. Or do we? Massive snap of oversteer on the exit of the chicane, which we managed to catch, and that is going to be a running theme through this race, catching oversteer. Like I mentioned, that rear downforce being 0 in the setup. Very tricky as Esteban Ocon goes around the outside of George Russell into the parabolica, and that's a great overtake, and more oversteer again and again. We catch it twice. The back end is not our friend on this car with this setup in the race here. Very scary moments there on lap 4. But Esteban Ocon looking to defend that lead. He defends very aggressively down the inside on George Russell as we head through turn 1 and 2. I thought there might have been space for us to go around the outside of Russell through turn 1, but sadly there was not. But Ocon stays ahead. It was actually a great move from Ocon round the outside of the parabolica. George Russell had a snap of oversteer, which he had to catch, and then we had 2 snaps of oversteer around the parabolica, which we had to catch ourselves. But yeah, it was a great move from Ocon to retake the lead there. I thought Russell, once he got past Ocon, would have just stuck in that P1 spot and just pulled the gap away, but that McLaren seems to be very, very fast. Now we're trying to set up George Russell as we head down into the Ascari chicane. We make him defend the inside hard, and he's locked up into the braking zone. We managed to fly past George Russell easily as he makes a mistake there into Ascari. Lewis Hamilton, I mentioned, was P5 on the grid. He's down in P10 now as it stands, and Max Verstappen has dropped 2 places behind Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly. So Verstappen, our other championship rival, down in P7. And speaking of championship rivals, if you check the map in the bottom left, that's Carlos Sainz all the way back in P20. But anyway, back to the race, down into turn 1. Are we going to have the speed to try and take Ocon? Ocon defends aggressive down the inside, but then blocks off the outside. That was actually great defended from Esteban Ocon, and I hate to say that because I don't like Esteban Ocon. So I've got to give him his flowers where it's due, though. Give him his flowers, give him his credit where it's due. That was actually very nice defending from Ocon. He couldn't have done much better to defend into turn 1 there. Sadly didn't have enough pace to take him, but it's only a matter of time. I'm thinking save up some battery around this lap, and then down the straight on the next lap we should be able to take Ocon easily with DRS and the use of that battery charge, which we are saving up as we come through the light braking zones of Lesmo 1 and 2 into the first of the DRS zones. Could we even set up a move into this next DRS zone like we did on George Russell? If we use battery here along with the DRS, let's see the closing speed in that slipstream. I'm going to make Ocon defend the inside, as you can see there, so we can try and do the same thing we did to George Russell, round the outside into the braking zone. We are miles ahead of Ocon into that braking zone, way later on the brakes, way more optimistic. But as we come out of Ascari, Ocon right on our gearbox still. Weird to see because we got such an advantage on the way in, but on the way out he's right on our gearbox still. Will he try and make a move around the outside like he did on George Russell? No, he won't. He is too far back to try and make anything like that stick. And as we come round the chicane, there was actually a yellow flag out, so he couldn't have even tried that move if he wanted to. But yeah, so running down into turn 1, he's going to have a big slipstream and he's going to have DRS on us. Can we defend like he did against us? Ocon is going to go to the outside. I pretty much copied the exact same move that he done to us, but we outbrake ourselves massively. And then coming through turn 2, he's round the outside there. Max Verstappen out of the session. George Russell back in the mix now as we go slow through turn 1 and 2. There's Verstappen, engine failure, blowing smoke in the face of that train there of 3 blue cars, 1 Alpine, 2 Williams. Let's get a replay of that turn 2 there. As we come round, Ocon wheel to wheel with us. But then there's George Russell back into the mix. A great exit out of turn 2. And Russell ahead of Ocon. We've obviously made a mistake into turn 1 there, which allowed Russell to get past Ocon. Will he try and get past us into the next chicane? He's going to go around the outside. We have the inside line. We can control Russell's line through the chicane. And we managed to stay ahead there of the Mercedes driver. Unfortunately, our teammate Senna not being able to compete in this battle for the podium spot as it stands. He's currently sat in P4, just outside of the range of Esteban Ocon. As it's I say that now he's into the podium spot. Lap 11, we've built a gap to George Russell, 1.2 seconds. Charles Leclerc currently in P4, 5 seconds behind. Our teammate Senna, 3.9 behind now. We're struggling for grip a little bit. 45% wear on the rear tyres, as well as that setup. The rear end was sliding. But speaking of people that are struggling for grip, look at that. There's a yellow flag. It's going to be one of the Ferraris. Charles Leclerc is in P5 behind us, which means that can only be one man, Carlos Sainz. Let's check out Carlos Sainz on board, and that is a puncture on the front left. Unclear if that's a puncture from debris or from just straight tyre failure. Carlos Sainz on the hard tyres, it looks like there, and he's going to have to come into the pit, and he does as we overtake him. Well, we've already overtaken him. We've actually lapped Carlos Sainz now, our championship rival. And let's get into our in-lap. We're going to be coming in at the end of this lap, or so we said we were on the strategy. Because, like I say, struggling for grip, rear tyres on like 50%, as you can see. Front tyres on 45. The Lesmo's got hard with the understeer. But, yeah, let's have a good in-lap. Let's try and set a good lap. We're currently 2.8 seconds ahead of Russell. So if we pit now, it would be, a decent enough gap to get out if he goes for an overcut. But as I say that, and I say the tyres are dead, I've pulled Lewis Hamilton because we've just set a purple sector 1. So that's what we love to see. Setting purple sectors even when the tyres are dead and due to come off the car on this lap. As we head through Lesmo 2, it actually didn't feel that smooth. But we are on the run down to the Ascari chicane, finishing sector 2 off in a moment with a green sector as well. So we've set a purple and a green sector on our in-lap, which is supposed to be the lap that your tyres are most gone and have the less grip, or the least grip of the whole stint. But yeah, we're currently flying on this lap as we head into the one more corner. Some nice throttle control on the exit as well to keep that rear end stable. And we open or we deploy that battery charge. Completely missed the pit entry because I thought this is a good lap, and it was a good lap. A green sector 3, and we set the fastest lap of the race, even with dead tyres. And the lap that we were supposed to come into the pits, just showing our pace. Charles Leclerc into the pits on this lap. He's going with the undercut. Is that going to be the strategy to go with, or what? Who knows? As we come around the corner again, massive oversteer. We should have came into the pits right then and there, but for some reason I stayed out. I can't remember the mentality. We went actually 4/10 slower than our previous lap on that lap, so I don't know why we stayed out. But Russell, Senna, both into the pits. We get a warning now. The rear left tyre is on 60% wear. That's getting close to tyre failure, surely. And the other rear tyre on 54% wear. So we do come into the pits at the end of the next lap. Extended our first stint by 2 laps, which gives us less time on the hard tyres, which is actually a bonus for me because I hate hard tyres and hate how long it takes to warm them up. 2.3 seconds on the pit stop though, that's very nice to see. That is an optimal pit stop there as Perez and Schumacher come into the pits, and we return to the race, get absolutely catapulted, slingshotted into turn 1 there by the pit exit, and we come out of the pits actually 7 seconds ahead of George Russell. Charles Leclerc has managed to make a move on our teammate Senna. Unfortunate, don't know whether that was off the strategy or what, but once these tyres get up to temperature, we were still about 6 seconds ahead of Russell. And yeah, that was pretty much all she wrote for this race, because we came out 7 seconds ahead of the car behind, and we've put a gap in now. Charles Leclerc has climbed his way up past George Russell, but even still 10 seconds behind with 2 laps to go. That's surely an impossible task, or an impossible, gap to close, unless something drastic happens with these last 2 laps. Speaking of, Lando Norris out of the session. coming through Ascari chicane. Dan ticks him out of the session. Never a good sign when two drivers retire at the same time. Here's Lando down the main straight, and that's a big collision. Lando Norris out of the session, a huge crash on the main straight just after the finish line. Let's have a look there. That's a very weird incident. I don't even know who's at fault for that, who's to blame. Both drivers moving erratically down the main straight there, and I'm thinking with all that debris, surely that means a safety car. But so you can see I'm setting up there. I didn't actually check what lap it was. I'm setting up there to put on soft tyres in case we do need to come into the pits for a quick pit stop behind the safety car. But then as we cross the line here, I actually looked up and saw it was lap 26, because I was thinking, where's Lando's car? We're going to have to watch out for all that debris, but it's just vanished. There was Dan Tixon off to the side, but with it being lap 25 that happened on, they don't send out the safety car, with it being, of course, like they can't finish the race behind the safety car in this game, because they don't have that in the coding, I guess. So when something like that happens, they don't send a safety car out, but that could have been a dramatic ending to the race if that was the case, or if they'd done a safety car for one lap and Leclerc could have closed that gap and then we had one lap at the end, or even if there was red flags in the game, we could have had a one lap shootout like in Abu Dhabi, which we don't mention. But last lap of the race, tyres dead again, hard tyres. We've set the purple sector 2. We seem to be the tyre whisperer almost, because we've set purple sectors even on the final lap of both stints, and as we come through the parabolica, we actually do set, you won't be able to see it because it's that quick, we set a purple sector 3 and a new fastest lap of the race on the final lap, which is just absolute GOAT behaviour. And we of course come first in the Monza Grand Prix and win the Italian Grand Prix. You love to see it. Charles Leclerc gets driver of the day. But yeah, just a great drive from us, just showing the pace. We had serious race pace. I don't know where that pace was in qualifying, but in the race we really put on a show. And yeah, just the first few laps were tough to get past Russell and Ocon, but once we got past it was literally just plain sailing off into the wind. You can't touch me, you know what I mean? So yeah, that is it for this race. We've got another 26 points in the bag, which is huge, especially considering our closest championship rival, Carlos Sainz, who was in P2 in the standings before this race. He ended up like P17 or something, we'll see in a moment, just completely outside the points. It's great for us. Great results. We'll see the standings in a moment, like I say, and see just how much of a gap we're pulling. With just 4 races to go in this championship, could we wrap up an early title, or will it come down to the wire in Abu Dhabi? Who knows? Anything could happen. We could have more DNFs. We could have a crash. If you remember USA in season 1, we had a hell of a crash, which was like a 13 car DNF pile up. Crazy to see. But there's that confirmation of the 26 points. Max Verstappen out of the session. Another close rival, Carlos Sainz, with a 5-stop strategy. Carlos Sainz pitted 5 times in that race. I have never seen that before. That is absurd. And he still finished ahead of Dan Ticktum, Dan Ticktum retired actually, so I can't even skip him. Our teammate Senna finishing in P4 with 12 points. Unfortunate to not get on the podium with Senna. That would have been nice to see, but here's the standings now. 65 points ahead of P2, Carlos Sainz. Now, if we keep improving the car at this rate and keep driving like we are, we could wrap up an early title here. 31 points ahead in the constructor standings now. Great points from Senna. Great assignment or appointment from me to get Senna as our teammate, because he's bringing in the points that you've seen there. As we return to HQ, that DRS upgrade, which failed last episode, or one of the last episodes, came in. We're going to go to our mailbox and claim the Italian trophy for winning that. We've got one more upgrade to get on the front downforce, which will come in before the USA Grand Prix. And then we are maxed out pretty much in all of our sections, apart from fuel efficiency. So as it stands, we are pretty much maxed out on the car for our current facility level, apart from durability, because we don't touch durability, because who cares about durability? It's a waste of resource points. So yeah, like I say, we've got a lot of upgrades to come through before USA. There's a big gap between it. We've got heave dampers coming there. I think that's I don't even know what they are. I think that was a tyre wear upgrade maybe. We go ahead and pick, I believe, Max Verstappen as our rival, because I think he's the easiest to beat at the moment. He seems to be struggling these last few races. But yeah, we pick up a tyre wear upgrade. We've got a long break, like I say, before the USA Grand Prix. I'm going to pick up another tyre wear upgrade here with the tyre blankets, or maybe not. It fails. Luckily, we do have enough points in the bag to go ahead and just redo that. Let's see if it comes in before USA, and it will. If it does succeed on the next time, which it will, there's a 100% chance it will. So yeah, here we go. On the 9th of October, we get the tyre blankets in. And then we're going to advance again. We've got 2 more upgrades to come in on the 16th. One of them for the front wing downforce, and one of them for the ECU, which I think was a fuel upgrade. Yeah, it was. We pick up another fuel upgrade there. I'm just picking up the fuel efficiency upgrades. Don't really care about those. We're just doing it for the sake of it because we have the points there. And yeah, so we're at the 20th of October now. Circuit of the Americas USA Grand Prix is the next episode. Like I say, not sure when it will be uploaded because of the FIFA upload schedule getting in the way. But just stay tuned on the channel. It will be coming. We will finish this season no matter what. Only 4 episodes left. Will we win the title? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the vibes. I'll catch us next time, people. Take it easy.